Cocktails used to be labor-intensive, time-consuming, and sometimes a bit of a mess. Not anymore. Finest Call Premium Cocktail Mixes are the world's largest producer of cocktail mixes. Finest Call makes it simple for bartenders worldwide to recreate the classics. Quickly, consistently, and cost-effectively.
Finest Call Premium Cocktail Mixes, distributed in Belize exclusively by Racina's Imports. When you're having a good time with family and friends, it has to be followed up by a great meal. And great meals begin at Country Meats. When it comes to high quality steaks at everyday low prices, Country Meats cannot be beaten. So, whether you're cooking for 1 or cooking for 20, barbecuing a favorite or grilling a classic, it has to be from Country Meats. Country Meats, where high quality, excellent prices, and outstanding service meet. Check us out at your nearest supermarket or inside any quality poultry products outlet. Country Meats, providing the highest quality and variety when it comes to steaks and other meats in Belize.
Here at Coop Sheet Metal, we believe our job is very essential in serving our customers. And that is just one reason why visiting us is an experience to be remembered.
Here at Coop Sheet Metal, we have a reliable fleet of trucks. We specialize in countrywide delivery of all our material.
Coop Sheet Metal is a family business that was started by my grandfather, who even had many of his machines hand-built decades ago to make our products the most reliable in Belize. Come visit us at our new facility on Iguana Creek Road, just past the Belize River leading to Spanish Lookout.
I choose Happy Cow cheese because of its perfect portion sizes, and I can travel with it.
Because it's nice and soft and creamy, and it goes smooth on your bread.
I choose Happy Cow cheese because I eat it with my beans. I eat it with my fried jack. And you know why? Because it's nice.
Most of all, when you're on the plane, you know they only give you some crackers and you could just take one out and enjoy it with Happy Cow cheese.
I'm Miss Baker and I choose Happy Cow cheese because it goes well with all the stuff I bake.
Happy Cow Cheese. Look for it in a store near you. Distributed in Belize exclusively by Emilio Ahmad and Sons Limited.
Have you treated your pets to the love they deserve? At Reimer's Pet Care, your pets will feel the love with services that include bathing, grooming, clipping, and much more. Come on out. We are conveniently located adjacent to Smart Smile Dental Clinic in San Ignacio and enjoy great discount coupons and refreshments. Reimer's Feed Mill. We are growing Belize.
I chose Galen because of its strong reputation, great scholarships.
I came because I can take all my classes online.
Because Galen University opens doors to the outside world.
Their course offering in tourism.
It gives me more opportunity to become who I want to be.
If you want to connect with your inner champion to make the world a better place, then Galen is right for you.
At WestTrack Belize City, we are looking to help you save both your time and money. We've also improved our stock levels to ensure we have everything you might need for your automotive or agricultural needs. Additionally, WestTrack has added heavy-duty and industrial parts to keep your trucks and equipment running. At WestTrack Belize City, we understand that your time is important, so we want to bring our services to you at your convenience. Now you can simply send us a message on WhatsApp or Facebook and we will be right there to help with any questions you may have.
Some moments are worth the journey. We'll help get the most out of every mile. Chase down your passion. Never halfway. Hankook Tire.
Global Steel Services is a state-of-the-art metal fabrication plant. They manufacture precision-made metal parts for construction, cladding, sheet metal, science supplies, and many other uses. They make purlins and metal decking of any size. They specialize in customizing any structure to suit your unique needs. Visit them at 42.5 miles on the George Price Highway or give them a call at 671-4118. Global Steel Services, leading the way in steel structures in Belize. Good morning and welcome to Morning Matters. It's a beautiful Monday morning right here in Belize. Actually, I am in the capital village, Boral Boom. Our guest this morning is Mrs. Geraldine Herbert. She's an educator. She holds a master's in educational leadership. She's also the principal for a high school, mother of 3 beautiful girls, and many other things. Her latest accomplishment is author. Mrs. Herbert, good morning and welcome.
Morning, Belize. It's a pleasure to be here, Rhonda. I'm excitedly nervous.
Well, it's going to be a good time. I think that today people will see you in a different capacity. They will learn a little bit more about your personal life, why you, and hopefully understand why you make some of the choices that you make. Through this conversation, I am sure that you are going to impact somebody's life in a positive way, because that is the premise of this show. If anybody that is watching have any questions as the conversation progresses, you feel free to type it in the thread. This is Morning Matters, or you can WhatsApp it to us at 602-2066. But first, let's get into the conversation. Let's learn a little bit about Geraldine Kuna Herbert. Tell me a little bit about where you grew up and how.
All right, so I grew up in Belize City, on the south side of Belize City, and I grew up living between my mother and my grandmother. My mother was a soldier, and so there are a lot of times that she had to be out, on duties and stuff like that. And so I spent a lot of years under the care of my grandmother, whom I love so much. She's such an integral part of who I am and the journey that I am now, and I'm really grateful for her. And so my childhood was, I think it's like the typical Belizean childhood, the way you grow up at home. It's either with your parents and then in that family setting. At least the time I grew up, the family was still pretty much, the extended type of family living together. So you grew up with cousins, your sisters, brothers, uncle, aunt. And so, and I think that in itself is also what helped to shape me. I mean, of course, those contributed to some of the challenges that I faced. But now that I look back, I'm really grateful for all the experiences that I've had, because I understand fully now how every experience that I have is all a part of shaping me into who I'm supposed to be.
Do you have siblings?
Yes, I have one sister from my parents, and then I have some other sisters and brothers, from my father's side. We didn't grow up together. I got to know them in my adult years. I was about 25 or so on when I really connected with my brothers and sisters, whom I love so much. They're just full of love. And I mean, they totally just welcomed me. I had no choice but to just love them back. But I grew up with my sister. We're 8 years apart. And that in itself, it was a rough relationship with my sister, because I think of the age difference. And because I was the only child for very long, and then boom, here she comes along. But my mom left for the US when I was like 19. I think it was like either 19 or 20 thereabout. And so I had to become mom to my sister. And I think that was a part of what strained the relationship between my sister and I, because then I was no longer like sister, I became mother. And the dynamic of that type of relationship really makes a difference. And so for a while it had strained the relationship with my sister. And so we're just now, for some couple of years, kind of reconciling that relationship and bringing it back to that sisterhood type of relationship.
And I want to stay there for a little bit. You said you grew up with your grandmother. Was there a male figure in the home while you were growing up?
Oh, yes, there was. I had both my parents, mother and father, but my father was also a police officer. So that kept both of them really busy. And so though I spent a lot of years home with my mother, there were also a significant portion that I spent with my grandmother, especially in my more formative years, like primary school years. I spent a lot of those with my grandmother, and then going into my teenage years, adolescent years, I was at home. But I did have father figure at home. My mother and my father, they were together. And then when my mother decided to go to the U.S., our father, my father was still there, present in the home, but I just became mother to my sister. You know,
what was that like for you?
That was, I feel like that was the period of my life that really began to shape me into who I am. It broke me in many ways, but it also shaped me because I wasn't ready for raising a teenager. My sister was going on maybe 12, 13, and I definitely was not ready for that. And so I know that I have contributed to breaking her in some ways because I didn't know better. I was really just doing the best that I knew with what I knew. You know, I was doing the best that I know how to. But I do know that my best definitely, broke her in many ways, that I was broken. And imagine a broken teen trying to raise another teen. I mean, as the saying goes, orange only could bear orange. So I could not bear a fruit. I could not make her into a woman or a young woman that I was not. And so, but I'm grateful for, all the women and the family and my grandmother who kept praying for us and who kept guiding us. I know that it's only the prayers of those who kept us in prayer that really didn't allow us to lose our way.
You speak about prayers. That would imply that you have, and I would say, a strong spiritual relationship because of how you made the distinction just now. What created that relationship? What do you feel that you owe that relationship to?
I grew up in a Christian home. So some would say maybe I didn't have a choice, but I have to say that I did have a choice. From the age of 8 years old, thereabout, I accepted Christ as my Lord and Savior. I could remember that moment clearly, sitting in the room with my grandmother, and she had this little booklet with the different colors, the green, the red, the gold, the black. And she walked me through it and asked me if I wanted to accept Christ in my heart. At that point, I'm not sure I understood the decision that I was making. But I thank God that there were several other opportunities that I've had. And I think that my most recent opportunity that encounter that really sealed, my relationship as a Christian happened, maybe 3 or 4 years ago. That's honestly, because I feel like a lot of my walk as a Christian was just going through the motions. But when I really came to the understanding and I was able to see, that there's someone that has been keeping me, that has been just, working for me, even when I was working against my own self. And then I came to that understanding and I was able to establish that relationship because I became purposeful and I became intentional about how I communicated with God. And then I was able to see, that, there is a God.
I want to have that conversation a little bit later in this segment because I want to work our way up to there. I'm excited to hear about that. I'm sure that the people that are looking want to hear about that as well, because I think I've been in communication with you for more than 4 months or more than 5 months or more than 6 months. And during that time, I always saw you as a spiritual person. I could not imagine that there would be something that would be more intense, that would draw you closer in such a short time. So definitely I want to hear a little bit about that. But I want to talk about you as a young person, because now you are the author of a book called 10 Things Little Girls Should Know, or 10 Things Girls Should Know. So I want to talk a little bit about you as a young girl and what were some of your struggles when you were going to school and how you overcame them. Because I believe that this is going to be helpful, not only for little girls, but also for adults that are looking, because I think that some of the struggles that we face as young people, if they are not addressed, we carry them.
Right.
So it is time that we have the conversation to first identify them. Today, we're going to be asking you to share some of your struggles and how you overcame them. So when you were in, let's say, between the ages of 10 and 15, I would imagine those are the times when the pressures start, because everybody is looking for, they want to be cute, they want to make sure their hair is curly enough or long enough or straight enough. I wanted my hair, I wanted anything but a big fro, and that's all I had. So I don't know what was your argument then. So let's talk about those years. What were some of the challenges that you faced as a young girl?
Before I go into that, though, I do want to say that, you know, when I wrote the book, I stated that, as you said, you know, that the book is, even though it says 10 things all girls need to know, it really is also for women, young women. I mean, if a woman picks up this book, I can tell you that she will be, you know, she will be inspired, she will be touched, she will be transformed. Because really, as you said, you know, a lot of the things that we struggle with in womanhood are things that we've been bringing, that we brought forward with us from our childhood, that we've been carrying them, you know, for years, and we've not dealt with them, we've not resolved them. So to go into the question, as a child, I think I don't ever remember, you know, wanting to be cute or pretty or any of those things. I think one of my major struggles that was just that I had as a child has been my weight. So my weight has been my struggle. And so like I just felt that I always wanted to lose weight. I always wanted to be slimmer, and then I was very tall too. So I always wanted to be like just same height with my classmates or people my age, because I felt like I was, you know, if I was in standard 3, maybe I look like I belongs in a standard 5 by, you know, our standards. And so, and I know that we could, you know, as children, we are very cruel to each other. And so growing up, as I said, growing up with family, I know that I definitely had some very rough years growing up with cousins and so on. There was a lot of bullying that took place. And because I was the youngest in the bunch, I was normally the target of bullying right in the home. You know, I don't remember much being bullied at school, but in the home, growing up with cousins, and well, mostly cousins, because my sister was smaller than me. But you know, I had my older cousins, and I was always their target of to be bullied and to be picked on. And I know that that is a part of my experience that really broke me, and it really in a lot of sense, I feel like it shattered my self-esteem. I felt like my self-esteem issues, my insecurities, a lot of those things began right there in those very young years, growing up with cousins, and the way that, you know, they used to always pick on me or tease me or exclude me because, you know, I was younger than them. So, you know, I got excluded out of a lot of things. And I mean, those things really, they really break you. You know, there's a quote that says that people don't remember what you tell them or what you do for them, but they remember how you make them feel. And I mean, that is so true. A lot of those things, I had to make the decision, you know, that to let go. I'm not going to let that, you know, bother me anymore. I'm not going to carry that anymore. I'm not going to believe those lies that I was told as a young person, because especially in those formative years when you're trying to figure out who you are and come into a sense of yourself, it's so easy for you to begin to believe, especially if everybody is telling you the same thing, then you begin to hold on to that, and that becomes your truth. And so, that was a main part of, you know, my struggle growing up. Like I didn't have a sense of myself. I was very insecure about my weight, and just about who I was as a person because of, you know, just the constant bullying that I experienced from my older cousins. And, you know, I just started to believe that you know, I started to believe the things that they used to tell me. And I mean, they were just kids, right? They were just kids.
Not only that, it's kind of like in our culture. It just seemed to have been, especially in that time, a part of our culture. I think now we're more aware, we have a kinder spirit, or at least we should have a kinder spirit, because we've been more exposed. And we really, I think this generation, if bullying is happened, it is intentional. I almost feel that when we were growing up, and I say we, I don't think that we're the same age, but I say we, it was kind of like teasing. It wasn't even called bullying. It was like, oh, you can't take a little tease, or you can't take a little joke.
Yeah.
And because you don't want to seem weak, you pretend that you could take this tease, but this tease is eating you out in the most wicked way. How did you, or what were some of your coping mechanisms, and how did you manage to strengthen yourself?
Well, I think I had the most terrible coping mechanism. I went in, and that for me, if I would talk to anybody, I would tell them that is the most dangerous thing to do to yourself, because once you go in, you lock yourself away, and then there's really not much that you can do from that place. And I feel like as a Christian, I would tell anybody that is the place where the enemy wants you to be. He wants to isolate you. He wants you to go in. He wants you to close in and for you to begin to believe that everybody else is just as wicked or just as mean or everybody's going to be the same way. Now, once you lock yourself in, that's when the enemy comes in for the kill and he begins to play on your mind, because this mind or mind is the battlefield. That's where really everything takes place. And so for me, my coping mechanism was just that I went in. I didn't really allow myself to get close to anybody. I had friends in high school, primary school, and I can tell you that this is something that I struggled with even into womanhood. I was so afraid to get close to people, especially other women, because I used to just think as other women as being that we're cruel to each other. We're so judgmental of each other, because that was what my experience have shown me, is that,
sorry, not to interrupt you, but what made you change your outlook?
Honestly, I just got tired of, being that way. I just got tired of it because I was lonely, and I knew that I was very, very insecure, and I wasn't happy. I was not happy. I was totally unhappy, and people looking on would think that, oh, you have it all together, because that became my drive. I started to push for my accomplishment. I think that was another one of my coping mechanisms, because I've always been a very intelligent young woman. So I just started, focusing on my educational achievement, and I start going. But those things were not giving me any fulfillment at all, and so I think it really changed for me about maybe 4 years ago. I was just sitting on my bed and I just felt totally just, I just felt tired, and I just cried out, and I was like, God, I don't know what's happening to me, but I'm really tired of living like this. I'm tired of putting on a facade that everything is okay. Because even with my marriage, a lot of it was just, pretending. And I can tell people, if you're busy out here pretending, I know that you're hurting, and it takes a lot of work. It's a lot of work to pretend that your life is as good as you want it to be. I'm telling you, it's draining, it's exhausting.
You just said a mouthful, because a lot of people are doing just that. The ones that have marriages that might be doing that, but a lot of people really mirror where you were. And in some instances it is more intense, and in some instances it is less intense. But I think that when we can come into our true self and we can say, hey, this is who I am. I'm going to stand here naked, not physically, but figuratively. And I'm just going to be myself. And the people that love me, wonderful. And the ones that don't, they don't deserve my attention, because they are into something that I am not into. I want to shift a little bit now to your education. You said that was one of your coping mechanisms. Did you know from the beginning what you wanted to be, or what did you have hopes of becoming when you were young?
Well, I had hopes of becoming a lawyer. I wanted to be a lawyer. Everybody told me that I would make a good lawyer, because I have excellent writing skill. I love to read from I was very young. And they tell me I know to put on a good argument. In our Belizean culture, once you can put on a good argument and to win, everybody believe, oh, you're going to be a good lawyer. So that was really what I wanted to be. I wanted to be a lawyer. And I do believe that I would have made an excellent lawyer. But then I got pregnant with my first daughter, Ivy Marie. And so when I finished sixth form, I had to make that hard decision. Do I want to go away for 6 years, for the year that I would need to go away to study law, and leave her? And, I wasn't ready for that decision. And then a little after that too, well, that's before my mom left anyway. My mom was still here at that point. So I decided, I don't want to leave my baby, because by the time I'm back, those are like her formative years. She, and I was just so set on the fact that I did not want anybody to raise my child, because I just did not want my child to have the experiences that I had. I wanted to be there to raise my child, especially in those years. And I didn't want to repeat the same cycle. My mom was pursuing her career at that time. Not that it's a bad thing, but then I was left to be raised by grandparents, and my grandmother did an excellent job. I'm not disputing that, but I do believe that there are certain things that my mother would have been able to protect me from and to instill in me, and I did not want to leave my daughter. And so I decided, I'll go into teaching, because teaching has always been my second choice, right? Teaching was my second choice. And I mean, I believe that was God's place for me, because I went in honestly just because I wanted a job at that point. I wasn't sure I loved teaching at that time the way I do now, but I absolutely fell in love. And I believe that, God was just so strategic for me, because I went to Wesley College, was my first teaching experience, and I had an excellent boss. Mrs. Armstrong was my principal at that time. And I was under the language department, under the care of people like Mrs. Tucker and Mr. Matthews and Mrs. Hyde and Miss Lisa Alvarez. And those people in my department really helped to shape me and just instill good work ethics and values and stuff like that in me. And I saw the love that they had for this profession, and I fell in love. And especially when I began to see the impact that I could have on young people, I became assured that, this is where God wants me to be. This is where I was born to be, because I know that I could make a difference in the lives of others the way that my teachers did not make a difference for me. Now I can become that teacher that, that sees the child that wants to be seen, that sees the child that everybody overlooks. And that is why my passion is to work with, I believe as an educator, if you work with what we call the cream of the crop, then you really truthfully only have to do 10% of the work. The student does the 90%, because those brilliant students, they will do their part anyway. But when you get those students that we consider to be maybe at risk, or they have a lot of things going against them, then as a teacher, we have to be ready to put in that 90%, that 100%, because you have to get that child to want this thing that is for them, to help them to see that, this is good for you, this will help you. Because most of the time when you get those type of students, it's like they're just here because everybody tells them they have to be here. And when you see that transformation, that is the best reward, honestly. I know you guys might say, you always hear teachers say that, but that is the truth. When you see that child that has been overlooked, or that child that everybody mark out and say, I don't think that child will become anything, and you see that child, just the transformation that happens in that child's life. And you're satisfied. You're like, wow.
Well, I have to say that Andrew Munnings is definitely, he is satisfied, and he wrote a comment in here. He says, you truly are an inspiration. Since second form of Wesley College in 2010, you have been one of my greatest support. Thank you. And I am who I am because of your heart and faith. And he loves the red top. That is just one of the comments that I'm reading, that I'm going to read, simply because you brought out the fact that you were a teacher and that you taught at Wesley College. I now want to move to the other part of your adult life. You eventually got married. I guess you were still coping with your insecurities, and everybody has insecurities, but from the way you described it, your insecurities were huge. You were just existing. Yeah. There was one mirror in front of you, but behind you there was a crumbling human being. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But in all that, you managed to make choices. And one may say that when you are making choices in that condition, you don't necessarily make the best choices, because and I use the term loosely, scattered. And I don't say any of this to judge. I say this for other people to examine where they are, mm-hmm. and to think about how they are making choices. And I don't exclude myself in this any at all, because I fully understand your position. While I did not struggle with my weight, we all struggle. Mm-hmm. When you look back at some of those choices, how do you feel now that you are more awake?
When I look back at, and that is why I said from the beginning that I know that it was definitely the hands of God, guiding me through, carrying me in those moments when I was because I've made a lot of really silly decisions when it comes to partners, sexually. Those are decisions that I made to cope, especially because as a woman, and that's one of the things that I stressed in the book that I wrote, that as a woman, we have to understand that there's far more that we bring to the table as a woman than sex, than our sexuality, than our beauty, that there is so much more that we bring to the table. And we have to understand that, we have to know that, we have to instill that in girls, because a lot of the relationship that I found myself in was just because I just felt like, I was just there to to give sex. And I felt like, you know, at least if I have that to give, then somebody will love me, somebody will accept me, because I wasn't even accepting myself. I didn't even love myself, but at least I had something to give that would get me the attention or the love or the care of somebody. And I can tell you that there are a lot of women and girls who believe the same lie, that that's all they have to give, and they want somebody to love them, they want to feel appreciated. Then at least if you can give that, then you might get back what you want, which is simply love and acceptance, you know, attention and affection. And that's what everybody wants. Everybody wants the 3 A's: acceptance, affection, and attention.
How, and I know that you know that that is not the case now. I know that you know that sex does not provide any of those things. Sex is sex. Let's not get it twisted. Sex is one act that you do. It's a physical act. It provides nothing else. Spirit of the person is what is important, and the spirit is yours, and you control it, and you don't need the acceptance from anybody on the outside. But I'm sure that you, Mrs. Herbert, have come to that realization, and that might be one of the reasons why you decided to write this book. I feel like we can be here forever, but I'm going to ask, when did you come into this realization? That is my first question, where that is concerned.
Okay, so when did I come into this realization? Honestly speaking, when I came to this realization was, as I said, 4 years ago. So at that 4 years point, or maybe three to 4 years ago, but just recently, after I had my last daughter, I told my husband I wanted a divorce. Like, I was tired of my marriage, but I was really tired of pretending, because the truth is I was expecting my husband to do something for me. I wanted him to make me happy. I was supposed to be happy because I'm married, and you are supposed to do things to make me feel happy and to make me feel content and to make my life better, to make me a better person. And the truth is I was pushing all the work on him that I was supposed to do for myself. And I just want to stress that, since I'm at this point, is that nobody can do the work for you that you need to do on yourself. You need to put in that work. Nobody can make you feel happy. Nobody can make you feel loved. That's an inside job. You have to do that. And so, but at that point, I didn't realize that. And so I was tired. I was like, you know what? I'm tired of you. I want somebody else. I want to date somebody else. Because I just felt like, you know, it was him. He's not doing what he's supposed to do to make me feel happy and accepted and, you know, feel the love, and, you know, you're not romantic. I started to find every excuse under the sun to justify, you know, why I was feeling the way that I was feeling. And so during that period, and I'm grateful for my husband, that man is so persistent, you know, he's like, I'm not going to give you a divorce. And of course I got really angry with him. Like, I'm not going to give you any divorce. But eventually we came to a point, and he agreed, and he said, okay, that's what you want. I'm going to consent. We're going to make it easy. I'm going to give you the divorce. And during that period, you know, I just decided, I don't know, I just made a decision that, you know what, I don't want any other relationship. I just want to spend this time focusing on myself. And so a huge part of my growth throughout the 2.5 years, or 3 years leading up to now, is that, you know, I remember clearly sitting on my bed and crying, and I called my pastor and I said, Pastor, I just tired of everything. I just feel like this life will not work. And my pastor was like, I have 3 women that comes to mind that I would want you to talk to. You choose anyone and I will connect you. And so I decided, I said, okay. And it was funny because at that point I was still afraid of reaching out to women. And that's what I want women to know, that our world is very important, because we can help to impact the younger generation. But the way that we carry ourselves, the way that we build relationships, the way that the young people, they look at us and they see who we are, that will help them to know that, you know, this is a safe space. This is someone that I can reach out to. This is someone that I can, you know, that maybe has been through what I've been through, or maybe understand what I've been through, and they can help me, because we as women, we need each other. And so anyway, I decided, okay, I'll go with Miss Melanie Escalante, who is my life coach. And I love that woman so dearly, because she has really helped to transform my life. And really what all she has done is to just guide me and to pull out everything from within me that I've had all along, you know, and to get me from being in autopilot, which is just going with the motion, to being intentional about every decision that I make and what I want for my life. Because the truth is, I've always known what I want for my life, but a lot of the decision was just, I'm just going with it, I'm just doing it, but I wasn't really strategic and intentional about the choices, what I want to do, and just following through with those things. And so, once I started to work with Miss Melanie, I really saw the changes, because then we started to dig inside. We started to dig deep and to pull out everything that is in there. And I realized, you know what? The problem isn't my husband. The problem isn't my mom. The problem isn't even my cousins that used to bully me from I was young. The problem isn't my teachers who were mean to me, because I had some teachers that were so not good to me. And I think everybody have that experience, but I also had some really, really wonderful teachers. But the problem wasn't anybody. The real problem was me. And so because I can't change anyone, and I want everybody to understand that you cannot change anybody. It doesn't matter how much you love them, what you give to them, what you do for them. You cannot change anyone. They have to decide that they want to change. And maybe you can help them, to bring them to that place, but the decision to change still lies on them. And so when I made that decision that, you know what, I'm tired of living like this, and I want to do things differently. So I'm going to change me. I'm going to change how I see people, instead of seeing everybody as mean and vindictive, or as wanting to take advantage of me, or as whatever, all the things that I used to see, or all the stories, all the narratives that I used to tell myself about people in my head. I just decided, that I'm not going to go with that narrative anymore. I'm going to change it. And I realized that once I began to change and, take responsibility for my life, not hold on to those hurt anymore from anybody, and decided, in spite of what they did to me, I want to do this, and I can do this. I don't have to carry that insecurity. I don't have to carry that shame anymore. This is what I want for myself. Once I made that decision, I began to realize that I don't know if everybody is changing, but everybody became different people. And so I really realized that there's a power that we have, especially when it comes to the narratives that we tell ourselves. Once we begin to tell ourselves certain stories, and our perception is reality in a sense, because once we believe something, then we begin to see the world only out of that view. Because we see the world to me, I believe that the outer world is a reflection of our inner world. So because inside I was in turmoil, I was in pain, I was carrying a lot of hurt and shame and unforgiveness, everything else outside looked the same way. But once I decided that, I'm going to change, I don't want to see people like that anymore. I'm tired of hurting like this. I want to try something different. I'm telling you, it was hard work. I had to put in the work. There were days when I really had to push myself, because scientifical, I don't want to get into all the science of it, but I mean, it's so easy for us to continue to do the same things that we're familiar with. So easy. Even, that's why sometimes, even though we make up our mind, I don't want to eat this, or I want to do this diet, or I want to do this thing, the body is already used to going into that autopilot, that in spite of your will, you still find yourself back in the same cycle. So I had to really be intentional about the actions that I took. And I noticed once I changed, and that's the truth, once I changed, everybody else changed. My relationship with my husband changed, my relationship with my kids, with my mother, with my family members. I no longer, because I feel like a lot of times I just didn't want to be around my family, because I carried a lot of hate and a lot of hurt. But no, and it was actually very hard for me to be around them. And they didn't really understand. They just saw that, I'm always busy, or I always make excuses why I can't come to family functions or do certain things. But it was because I was carrying a lot of hurt and a lot of hate, and I didn't want to be around them, because it really was difficult for me. But I noticed once I changed inside and I worked on all those things, then my perception or my view of the world and my experience of the world became totally different, because now I had a new experience inside, and so the reflection of what I was experiencing outside was totally different.
I love that. I didn't want to interrupt you at all, because I wanted everybody to hear all of that. I think it is so important how we see ourselves. And like you said, we mirror that in the way we behave and the kind of people that we attract. Yes, we have to talk about your book, but yes, we're going to talk about your book, but I want to bring you back at some other point in time to continue this conversation, because I think this conversation is important. There's so much that you have to share, and an hour is just not enough. But to move along, in the interest of time, we will now move to the book that you wrote. What inspired you to make this decision?
Okay, so the book that I wrote is called 10 Things That All Girl Needs to Know. And my biggest motivation, actually the book started out, so when I was speaking to my coach, I was like, I want to write a book for my daughters. I want to give them some things that I believe will help them to just traverse this life, to get through their journey. And so I started to write the book. I wanted to give it to my daughter Ivy for her birthday. At that time, it was only two because I have another daughter now who I'm fostering and hoping to adopt. And so it was just, Ivy was my oldest daughter at that time. Now I have Lydia. She's the oldest. But I wanted to give that to Ivy, and I wanted to have something to leave for Jamie. So I started working on it, I think in December. And I said, I want to finish it by May so that I can give it to her as a gift. And then when I started to work on it, I was working on it with my friend who was helping me to edit, and other friends who, looked through it, and even my coach, and they were like, this is something that will help a lot of other people. And so I started to look at and work on it in a broader scope, because the truth is, for my daughter, this book was the advantage that I wanted to give her. I wanted to give her that advantage that I didn't have. I wanted her to know these things so that, it will help her in her journey. I'm not saying that it would save her from the struggles and the trials and the challenges, but then this would help her in how to deal with those struggles, how to deal with those challenges, and how to overcome those things, and how to win, basically how to win at life. And so I wanted to leave this for her. And so I realized that, I don't only want to leave this for my girls. I want to give this to every other girl and every other woman, not just in Belize, but globally. This is the advantage that I want to give to other women. This is like my gift to them. Because I feel like a lot of these things, if I had known them, I would definitely have a different experience in life. My journey would have been different, but I'm grateful because, of course, my journey is what has brought me to this space now to realize that, girls and women, we need to know these things. And so basically that was the whole idea behind writing the book. I wanted to just put something together that would give women the advantage, and knowing how to, traverse this life.
You have 10 things that girls should know. Girls, and now we've extended it to women. The book is called 10 Things a Girl Needs to Know, or Girls Need to Know. But this is not only for girls, this is for the female gender all the way around. If you were to say what were the top 3 things in this book, what would they be?
All right, so the top 3. I feel like all 10 is really important. I have to say that.
And I only asked for 3 in the interest of time, and I'm sure that we're going to have the opportunity to.
But I would say my top 3 would be chapters 1 and 2 and chapter 10. And so chapter 1 is you can do absolutely anything you set your mind, heart, and hands to do. I really believe that you can do anything, and I want girls to know that. I want women to know that. I want you to believe that in spite of the circumstances, in spite of where you're born, what the family you're born into, whatever we might see as a disadvantage, the truth is we can do absolutely anything that we set our mind, because we have to believe it. Our heart, we have to go all in, and our hands, because we have to work towards it. It won't magically happen. Even the word of God tells us, faith without work is dead. So we have to do the work. And if you put your mind, your heart, and your hands to it, you can do it. And then chapter 2, this is my absolute favorite chapter. Loving yourself is the single most important gift that you can give to yourself and to the universe. Because I believe that just learning to love myself is really what changed my journey. And that really what has helped to turn my life around, having that sense of love for myself, learning to appreciate myself, and knowing that really love starts with me. So instead of searching for somebody to love me, I had to learn to do the hard work of loving myself. And I can tell you that loving ourselves, well, at least in my case, it was a very hard thing to do, especially because I didn't grow up in a household where, you're encouraged to see yourself and love yourself and appreciate yourself for who you are. There was a lot of criticism and judgment. And so when I came to loving myself, I really had to work through all those shame that I was carrying and those insecurities that I was carrying, to really begin to see myself for who I am and to love myself for who I am. And I realized that once I'm able to love myself, then that's a gift not just to me but to the universe, because the way that I relate to other people, the relationship that I build with other people, the I'm able to be an asset. That's not the word that I want, but I'm able to be, I can't think of the right word, but I'm able to be useful to other people, as in, because I can't give what I don't have. And so when I have that self-love, I have that appreciation for self, then what I can bring to the table, to the world and to others, it's so much more. And then chapter 10 is just called Do It Afraid, really just do it. And so whatever it is, going through this journey, accomplishing the things you want to accomplish, learning to love yourself, working through fear, whatever it is, the truth is we just have to do it. Even when we're afraid, we just have to make up our mind to do it. And so for a long time, that just do it was my mantra, just do it. And I've learned how to just do things. And so my new mantra is now to just follow through. Because once I make up my mind to do something, I'll do it. Sometimes I get we're tired along the way. And so I know I had to remind myself to just follow through. But I think that that's a very important chapter, and that's why I'm glad that that's the one that we ended the book off with. It's just a reminder that do it afraid. Whatever it is you want to do, you're afraid. You might just think about all the obstacles, and there are other chapters in there that will help you with some of those things. But all the obstacles that you might think are against you, you just do it, because once you start doing it, you realize that when you reach that point where you think that thing would have been an issue, the solution has already come along. But if you decide that you're not going to do it because you're afraid, then you never give it a shot. You never know what you can do. But if you do it, even when you're afraid, even when you feel like you don't have the resources or whatever, but you just make up your mind to do it. I mean, writing this book and stepping out to do this is just a matter of me doing it afraid, because I was afraid to share these things, because a lot of it I had to deal with myself before I write it. Before I wrote these things down, I really had to deal with myself about a lot of these things. And so it was hard facing it, but I decided, I want to write this book and I'm going to do it, because I felt I carried a lot of shame and guilt. And that's a chapter in there too, that I didn't know how to let go of. And I know that if I wanted to equip my daughters, I had to first and foremost let go of my shame and guilt and just make up my mind to do it, right? Do it afraid.
I don't know the day, and I know the time, but I don't know the day when we're going to sit down again, because we have to discuss it. But I feel that you have a lot of topics that definitely can help, not only women but people in general, because men carry a lot of shame as well. They also carry a lot of guilt. They also carry a lot of insecurities, and a lot of and I can't speak for a man because I'm not a man, but I think in you sharing your experience, it would help everybody. Our time here is a little bit limited. I want to know where we can find this book, because as much as I am happy to go online and buy it, I also like a physical book in my hand. I feel good with a book.
Okay, so I have some physical book, but this is the old cover. I revamped the cover a little while ago. So I have copies. You can get them from me. You can just message me on Facebook, or you can contact me. My number is 631-0725. And I have copies, but the book is also available on Amazon. So you can go on Amazon to get your copy if you're an ebook reader like myself. I love ebooks, but I do know that a lot of people, just as Rhonda shared, a lot of people told me that, I like to have the hard copy. And so I decided, okay, let me get some hard copies. So you can contact me for hard copies. My Facebook page is Geraldine Herbert. You can send me a message, or you can text message me on WhatsApp or regular message at 631-0725 to get a copy of the book. The book is going for $25, but I can assure you that is pittance to the value that you will get from this book. I can assure you that there's so much value inside this book, and it's going to be a worthwhile investment. And so, yes, get your copy of 10 Things All Girls Need to Know. And remember, it's not, even though it says girls, it's for women too, because the truth is, as women, we are really little girls at heart, right? So it's for all of us, women, girls, get your copies.
I think it would make an excellent gift to yourself. Let's start with yourself,
yes,
whoever is watching. And then I think you can then gift it to your daughter or your niece. I think a lot of times we look to give people gifts that are not as meaningful as they should be. And I think this would make an excellent gift. It could be an addition to whatever gift that you are giving. I encourage people to purchase it for the content that it has, but also it is a local producer. And this is the time when we need to support local producers. So it's a win-win-win all the way around.
All the way.
Mrs. Herbert, I say thank you for taking the time. Thank you for sharing, and thank you for being so open with us this morning. You shared some very intimate details that I think took some time. Took some time for you to say, you know what, it's okay to talk about that. And I hope that in you doing that, other people will feel the relief, if you will, that they too can face their insecurities and their challenges, and that they can find a mentor like you did, and kind of somebody to help you work with it and to get it out there, because it is only in that you will become the best version of yourself. Again, I say thank you. I look forward to our next conversation with whatever topic it is that you choose. Could it be insecurities? Could it be guilt and shame, adoption? Because you have a lot going on in your life, but still you face the world with a smiling face and a happy heart. I say thank you. Any final words?
Thank you, Rhonda. Thank you everyone for tuning in. And really, I just want to encourage everyone to understand that, there's a great power inside of you. You have that power inside of you to be and to do. I'm sure all of you have experienced that moment when you felt like giving up, but there was just something inside of you that just gave you that extra push, that just encouraged you to keep going. And so there's nothing really super special about me. Just the fact that, I decided to uncover, to empower that spirit that is inside of me, that's inside of all of us, and decided to take control of my life, to be intentional about the decisions that I wanted to make for my life, be intentional about what I want to do with my life, and that's really what changed everything for me. And I want to encourage you, if you have shame, you have guilt, you have those things that you're dealing with, deal with them, face them. And that's the first step of really growing and becoming who you want to be. So that's what I want to leave you with. I'm thankful for everybody who tuned in, thankful to all my Belizean people for their support and for the love. And I just want to encourage you to go and to purchase your book. You can get the hard copy from me, or you can purchase it on Amazon Kindle. I would definitely appreciate the support.
Excellent. I encourage you to contact Mrs. Herbert on her Facebook page. Her name is the same on Facebook. Do you have a number that they can WhatsApp you? Or because this is the time that we're in, people love to send you a WhatsApp. They will put it in your account and you send it with BPMS, and they don't have to move from their house. So how else can they contact you?
631-0725. That's my contact number.
Excellent. Again, I say thank you. Have a lovely day, and thank you for sharing.
And thank you to Rhonda. I look forward to our next session, whenever that is.
Soon. You know what Creole say? Soon it might be. I'm thinking maybe the latter part of this week, so we can keep the conversation going.
Okay, sure thing.
Excellent. I talk to you soon. Have a lovely day. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Cocktails used to be labor-intensive, time-consuming, and sometimes a bit of a mess. Not anymore. Finest Call Premium Cocktail Mixes are the world's largest producer of cocktail mixes. Finest Call makes it simple for bartenders worldwide to recreate the classics. Quickly, consistently, and cost-effectively.
Finest Call Premium Cocktail Mixes, distributed in Belize exclusively by Racina's Imports. When you're having a good time with family and friends, it has to be followed up by a great meal. And great meals begin at Country Meats. When it comes to high-quality steaks at everyday low prices, Country Meats cannot be beaten. So, whether you're cooking for 1 or cooking for 20, barbecuing a favorite or grilling a classic, it has to be from Country Meats. Country Meats, where high quality, excellent prices, and outstanding service meet. Check us out at your nearest supermarket or inside any quality poultry products outlet. Country Meats, providing the highest quality and variety when it comes to steaks and other meats in Belize.
Here at Coupe Sheet Metal, we believe our job is very essential in serving our customers. And that is just one reason why visiting us is an experience to be remembered.
Here at Coop Sheet Metal, we have a reliable fleet of trucks. We specialize in countrywide delivery of all our material.
Coop Sheet Metal is a family business that was started by my grandfather, who even had many of his machines hand-built decades ago to make our products the most reliable in Belize. Come visit us at our new facility on Iguana Creek Road, just past the Belize River leading to Spanish Lookout.
I choose Happy Cow cheese because of its perfect portion sizes, and I can travel with it.
Because it's nice and soft and creamy, and it goes smooth on your bread.
I choose Happy Cow cheese because I eat it with my beans. I eat it with my fried jack. And you know why? Because it's nice.
Most of all, when you're on a plane, you know they only give you some crackers and you could just take one out and enjoy it with Happy Cow cheese.
I'm Miss Baker, and I choose Happy Cow cheese because it goes well with all the stuff I bake.
Happy Cow cheese. Look for it in a store near you. Distributed in Belize exclusively by Emilio Ahmad and Sons Limited.
Have you treated your pets to the love they deserve? At Reimer's Pet Care, your pets will feel the love with services that include bathing, grooming, clipping, and much more. Come on out. We are conveniently located adjacent to Smart Smile Dental Clinic in San Ignacio and enjoy great discount coupons and refreshments. Reimer's Feed Mill, we are growing Belize.
I chose Galen because of its strong reputation. Great scholarships.
I came because I can take all my classes online.
Because Galen University opens doors to the outside world.
Their course offering in tourism.
It gives me more opportunity to become who I want to be.
If you want to connect with your inner champion to make the world a better place, then Galen is right for you.
At West Track Belize City, we are looking to help you save both your time and money. We've also improved our stock levels to ensure we have everything you might need for your automotive or agricultural needs. Additionally, West Track has added heavy-duty and industrial parts to keep your trucks and equipment running. At West Track Belize City, we understand that your time is important, so we want to bring our services to you at your convenience. Now you can simply send us a message on WhatsApp or Facebook, and we will be right there to help with any questions you may have.
Some moments are worth the journey. We'll help get the most out of every mile. Chase down your passion. Never halfway. Hankook Tire.
Global Steel Services is a state-of-the-art metal fabrication plant. They manufacture precision-made metal parts for construction, cladding, sheet metal, sign supplies, and many other uses. They make purlins and metal decking of any size. They specialize in customizing any structure to suit your unique needs. Visit them at 42.5 miles on the George Price Highway or give them a call at 671-4118. Global Steel Services, leading the way in steel structures in Belize.